Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your reading for the week ahead. Firstly, a very happy New Year. Hope you've had a great festive break. We start with, I'm going to do these cards in pair because they're quite similar in energy and they very much correspond to one another, and that is the Knight of Cups and the Lovers. I'm hoping that you've had a really nice, restful time over the festive break. The Knight of Cups is very much the energy, I always see him as the energy of the heart, the energy of restoration, of respite, and also being nourished and restored. There's a very cathartic energy with the Knight of Cups. So have you been able to get off your chest, get off your shoulders, everything that you've needed to? Have you been able to take off the yoke of responsibility for a little while and just come back to yourself and do what really nourishes you, what you really love doing? The Knight of Cups is very much the poet, the romantic of the tarot deck. So we need to reconnect with that kind of archetype. Have we been feeling romantic? And that doesn't necessarily have to be within relationships. Have we reconnected with the sense of romance with life? Have we reconnected with a sense of I love life? I love what I'm doing. I love I've really connected and reconnected with that restores me and nourishes me. If the answer to any of those questions is no, then perhaps use this as your last chance saloon in order to do that. The Knight of Cups, as I say, would be very much found more reading a book of poetry than watching television. Having some downtime is great, but very often that is linked with things like technology. We can binge that favorite series on Netflix, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love to do that very much so. I'm watching Superstore at the moment, rewatching all of that. So there is absolutely no judgment with that, but it does need to be counterbalanced with something that is perhaps a little more that kind of broadens our horizons a little bit, that is a bit more cultivated, that is a bit more it kind of taps into a different part of us. So I'd really encourage that if you haven't had a chance to do so. And again, that could be as simple as tucking into a good book, that could be go to a gallery, that could be exploring a hobby that you just absolutely love, but just ensure that it's not kind of every day. I think that's the important thing to stress. Something that feels that is nourishing not only you but also the kind of cultural part of you. And the fact that we have that with the Lovers as well, you've literally got the love, so there's a lot of love flowing over here. Perhaps your festive break has represented an opportunity to connect again with loved ones, family, those that we hold near and dear. It's perhaps also brought into perspective those things that we do value. That's not so much about things, material possessions, but rather much more of those connections. As we move into 2025, the Knight of Cups may also be reminding you of a couple of things. Partly, it might be about generosity. Are you being generous enough? And again, that's not about monetary value, but are you being generous of spirit? Are you being generous of heart? And if not, how could we perhaps make that more at the forefront? Also, the Knight of Cups is reminding us to tap into that imaginative, poetic side of us, as I'd mentioned. That could just be, actually, I want to bring a bit more balance between what brings me pleasure and what I must do. That leads really well into the Two of Pentacles energy. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I believe that's the Lord of Perfected Work. And there's an interesting link here between the Knight of Cups, you've got the river there, and then the Two of Pentacles, where the water's suddenly a little bit more tumultuous. As we start approaching the new year, it can throw up some questions. The fact that this is in Pentacles would represent that that's in the realm of health and wealth. Whether there are questions of how do I want to approach my work, or do I actually want to carry on in the work that I'm doing? It may be larger questions in that way. Or there could be questions about job security as we move into the next year. Just go with that. I don't feel that there's anything inherently wrong if you're juggling these questions, if you're kind of weighing up options of what might be best for you. Sometimes that can be a slightly uncomfortable place, can't it? Because it's bringing up uncertainty, particularly at those times that we've worked quite hard and over a long period to regain a sense of stability and security, particularly financially and particularly in terms of our vocation and our work. But the Two of Pentacles, you can see he's got 1 foot up and 1 foot down. So there may very well be a little bit of unsettledness. But again, as I mentioned there, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And some of this may very well be born out of the fact that the Knight of Cups is tapping you on the shoulder, asking you, well, what do you want to do? What is it? Are you leading a heart-led life? And if not, why not? And if not, how can I perhaps bring that more into balance? Because that is ultimately what the Two of Pentacles represents. It's imbalance with an attitude, with an awareness of, well, how do I bring that into better balance? So just to repeat myself, if those questions are coming up, don't push them to one side. Don't try and avoid them. Don't procrastinate away from them. Really examine it. It is a crunch point. This again is often why the start of a new year can sometimes be a challenge for people, because we are questioning our routine, we are questioning the status quo, we are questioning, actually, do I want to continue forward in the way that I have been doing so previously? And this leads me beautifully. Anybody would think I know what I'm doing, but it segues absolutely gorgeously into the Tower card here. And the Tower card can often be a bit unnerving for people. It's quite a kind of, you've obviously got all of this black. But ultimately, the Tower card is in just what I've been talking about there, about breaking the status quo. It is about a disruption to those towers that we have spent a long time building. And at the point of those crumbling, or the point of those being negated or undermined, or a feeling as though the rug has been pulled out beneath our feet, it can be unsettling. It can kind of feel like a jolt or a bolt out of the blue, as the tower kind of represents. For me, this is less about kind of dark surprises that it can sometimes be talking about. It's less about, when I turned over the tower in your reading, I didn't immediately think, oh, this is about unexpected news. I would say this links much more intrinsically with the Two of Pentacles. It may represent that, but for me, it's more about some of these internal questions that are going on of, am I leading a heart-led life? If not, why not? And that bringing up some ideas, some areas in your life into sharp relief or into investigation that might just be mildly uncomfortable. But if it is from a place of discomfort that growth happens, that we step outside of our comfort zone, that we try something new, that we explore new avenues, and there's a sense of needing to do that, particularly if it helps us reconnect more with that Knight of Cups energy, with that more emotional, heart-led energy. And dun, 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 that leads very beautifully to the Three of Cups here, which is the Lord of Abundance. Particularly as we've got the Cups, Lord of Emotional Abundance. I would really, really, really let 2025, but particularly this week, but 2025 as a whole, be a heart-led year, be an emotionally led year, be what fills you up, what just makes you joyous and happy. I know that there are very often financial considerations to do with that, but hashtag YOLO, right? You've only got one life to live. Time is precious. It's the most precious commodity that we have. So please, please, please make sure that you are making time for that which fills you up, that restores you, that makes you unabashedly happy, because that is the place that you need to be placing your effort as opposed to those financial considerations. So I hope that helps. If you need more insights and more details, be sure to check out your rising sign and your moon sign. If you're not sure how to do that, then visit the website and look under offerings and free readings. And there's a link to how you discover those if you want a more rounded reading. But until next week, have a gorgeous, gorgeous start to the year, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.